We're ready for you.
Okay, good. Well, my name's Amy Boxberger, Community Corrections. We cover Barton Rice, Ellsworth, Russell, and Stafford counties to provide intensive supervision to adult felony probationers. Each year I come around and tell you what our goals and objectives are through our grant application to the state. And then at the end of the year, I come around and give you a report of how we did. And so our state Department of Corrections changed our database and has not been awesome transition. We can put information in it, but getting it back out has been a struggle. So we waited to get our year-end outcome reports because our year ends June 30th. And it's usually a report that's due October, and then they extended it, trying to make some adjustments to the system, and it just didn't happen. So they said, just go ahead and do it from July 1st, 2020 to April 17th was the date that we transitioned. So that's what I'm doing. It just doesn't feel complete. But our overall goal for the state, they want us to have no more than 25% of our case closures go to prison. And in the reporting period, we had 15% that only went to prison. So we had, what did they say, 157 offenders that were discharged in that reporting period. 23 of those were revoked and went to prison, and 134 did not. I always want the communities to know that, of course we're outcomes driven, but we're not going to sacrifice public safety. If we've got offenders that are getting new charges of drug sales or distribution, gun crimes or person crimes, we are asking for revocation, and we're pretty successful in that typically, unless there's some kind of a plea on the other side. But, but typically, you see a lot of people get arrested for new stuff. Sometimes it's new drug possession. Mm-hmm. They're going to come back out on supervision anyway, so we just ask for some sort of a sanction and then come back on supervision. So at least when you get a crime while you're on supervision, the sentences are consecutive, so it's much longer that they have if they end up not getting their behaviors intact. So, but we have drug people that obviously, we talk about this all the time. Typically, no one's really too surprised of the people that get arrested and placed on our program. So just based on maybe family history, or you see them, and not always, but it's there's also there's generational issues that we're dealing with. So it takes a little bit in with case management and with accountability that is required for us to get those behaviors in line with what we want, right? As to be a safer community. So, obviously we are successful in that. Even if it went through the end of the year, we definitely would have met our goal. But I think we've got a pretty good culture of people that, they know that you're here to change. So if you're not, there might be some jail sanctions until we can get you believing the same thing that we do, right? But then really just trying to extend that so that it lasts longer and, we see some change. But, so yeah, there's some other goals that we looked at, really just processes. There's some things that we're good at. There's some, it's just with the transit, it's just been such, you've got COVID on top of a new database, on top of we used to do an assessment for evidence-based principles. The first is assessment. You want to know what the person's high-risk behaviors are and what their strengths are. Well, we went from one to one for men and one for women in this year too. So getting transitioned into those, and not sure that I'm really bought into the new assessments. I mean, the ideas were like for women, there's one, there's women-specific issues that are, just that's what you see, more trauma, more back history, more stuff. But for the men, but also because of those factors, it just seems like it really takes a lot for somebody to be a high-risk woman. And maybe that's right, I still need to like get in line with it, but there's still behaviors that we're still addressing, and I don't know. Department of Corrections is interested, they're just in flux right now, I think, so. Anyway, and then the men's assessment, it's okay, it's just a lot longer, and, all of our other assessments, you wanna do open-ended questions, get as much information that you can about somebody, and this is like a whole bunch of yes/no questions, and it just leaves a lot to the imagination, and I don't know, so I'm still trying to get we're still trying to get buy-in on, you know, when there's new things, everyone goes through this stuff, right? It just seems like it's this year and last year, just these big transition years of, we gotta get our feet underneath us again, so. But the good news about COVID, I guess, has just been, really, everyone's used to Zoom, everyone's used to being able to remote into services if they're able to, and, so I guess that's the good, it's really expanded, especially in our small counties. You have as much access to anything that anyone else does anywhere else. Now, whether or not they do, or, you know, I'm always putting in the plug for, you know, internet for all, right? We want that broadband stuff here so they can get that. I know when I was in Ellsworth, that was on the agenda, so I had to put a little plug in, because you want everyone to be able to access it. And so, but yeah, otherwise, not asking for money, just a signature on my year-end outcomes report, and then you're my last county, so I can either give you a copy or I'll send it when I do.
Steve, it was.
Okay.
So you're up adequate staffing, and are you still looking for counselors?
No, I think right now we're good. Marissa, juvenile side is hired, it's been hiring, and it's been a struggle to get applicants with degrees to get the applications, which, you know, I was, Patty McGurk, she used to supervise up here, and she retired. She and I went to Wichita yesterday, but we were just chatting about how many online or stay-at-home, work-from-home businesses there are now that anyone has access to. That's really taken a lot of the workforce. I don't know, there's just so much, because I don't really know of anyone that's getting unemployment. The people that we supervise that don't work, I mean, they've never worked, you know, that's not new.
You know, at the beginning of the COVID, a lot of people said, well, you know, if the government wouldn't pay people so much, then
The sign page there?
Okay.
Okay, sorry.
then, you know, we'd have more workers, but honestly, I don't know any able-bodied, or not very, the large majority of able-bodied men and women in our county at least, I don't see people just sitting around. A lot of people have
Yeah.
jobs.
Right,
I bet our unemployment
I
in
think-
Stafford County is probably 1% or less. Everybody in Stafford County that wants a job has a job.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, you're always gonna have
I think we have a
those few that
workforce
aren't.
shortage, not a laziness problem,
Yeah.
I guess. I mean, everybody's got, or seems like, to me, maybe they're around and I don't know them, but it seems like there's a lot of people that way that have jobs, but we just need more of them.
Now, your goal of trying to get, what was it, less than,
25 or
yeah,
less.
25% go to jail. Now, since you met your goal this year, in the past, have we talked about that's a sliding rate? So next year,
They
they
want
expect
us
you to do
to
better
do better.
and better, to where at some point,
I know, and you know, and also, like, this is when I start turning around and my head starts spinning around. You know, when we meet our goal, it doesn't mean that we get any more money.
yeah,
But if we don't meet our goal, then, you know, there's just a super secret funding formula that we don't really know. They say it's a part of it, and, you know, so yeah, it was a buzzkill to get somebody, get our goal a couple of years ago, and, you know, because we're typically like within 1%. And then when we crush our goal and we don't get an increase of funding,
yeah.
Yeah.
so then I had to apply for a federal grant to get us some more money. I mean, because, you know, when you're flat funded, it's a decrease. You know, everything else is going up. around
Accounting for
you.
everything else,
And,
yeah.
you know, we are in the same building as Court Services. They've gotten, well, before January, it was 14% above us. And, you know, we have managed a very high risk, high caseloads. It's pretty frustrating, and I'm trying to still smile about it. That's like, you know, we've got some
We don't wanna
legislators,
see-
but I guess it, I mean, you know, you're gonna see, I mean, we are advocating, we have a lobbyist, we've got an association that is asking the governor for additional funding, about in the tune of $14 million for all community corrections agency, because the pie for money for the community corrections has been the same for 9 years. And so all community corrections agencies is just buying for a bigger piece of the pie. But if you take a bigger piece, you're taking away from the next guy. So then it keeps a competition with us when we are all on the same page, trying to,
Yeah.
you know, do better, you know, influence positive change on people. So, you know, they need to realize, the state, you know, they need to advocate for public safety, and really, no one's getting well in prison. I mean, we can have more people, you know, if prosecutors in here, you know, I usually am getting heckled at the commission meetings because, you know, they want more people to go to prison. They come out, and then what? And you've got them out, or you've got them in prison, and their families, are they getting better without another income or a provider? It's not how it works. So, you know, it feels good to send somebody to prison sometimes. I smile sometimes, my heart gets warm, but sometimes that's not how it goes. And that doesn't say that if somebody should go to prison for public safety issues, that they shouldn't go. I'm not advocating that, but we need to figure out, there's systemic stuff, there's generational stuff. It's not gonna get fixed because somebody in a black robe told them they had to.
Mhm.
You know, it's trying to figure that out, and you gotta have positives and negatives. So yeah, that's annoying to have. I mean, so their goals. I am at the point, it's words on a page, and I hate being, but what matters to me is public safety. And, you know, I've got good relationships we all do, with our population. They know we want them to change. They know, we are at Walmart, right? We're at the store, we see these people.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's what's different about, you know, a mid-sized agency, that it matters. If I was Sedgwick County, they don't care,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so.
I remember several years ago, Amy brought down an individual, and it was really impressive because
I know.
this person was totally a 180-degree turnaround. And,
Yeah,
and it was drug related.
I'm sure.
I thought it was.
Was it Krankenberg?
I don't recall.
No.
I don't remember who it was.
It was somebody that lived on 281,
I can't
just
remember.
across
That's-
I don't remember who it was.
Yeah, it's been a while. I need to do that. Sometimes he reaches around Christmas time, and we're just trying to. And the COVID, you know, they've got a built-in excuse of why somebody can't come in or avoid accountability. So,
Oh, yeah.
you know, and then our office got, you know, it's been a roaming thing in ours. So you just try to balance it out. But I do need, I need to do that again. Every
Well, it was-
commissioner, I mean, every time, and the outcomes, when we're celebrating our successes, that's usually when I
Yeah.
do it. And this one, it's just been kind of a. I hate
Well,
being
it's
like
not
that,
a
but it's
complete
like,
picture.
well, it's not even a real, it's not good, accurate data. And that's one of my values and my core beliefs is to give good information, so that's why I think it's.
Well, but his testimonial
Yeah.
was impressive because, you know, he said if it wasn't for your agency, and I'm certain if it hadn't been, he would still be in prison.
Mhm.
And it was one of those make you feel good
Yeah.
things, and you need more of them.
Yeah.
Okay, I will make a motion, we authorize the chairman to sign the year-end outcome report to the Kansas Department of Corrections.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Got their signature just in time. Didn't get any
Yeah,
heckling.
before the attorney
You guys
got here.
Didn't get any heckling from
You
mine,
missed the
so.
spiel, you didn't get to heckle her this year.
Dan Krug is relentless up in Russell and I'm up there. It's just everything I say.
She'll send me one.
Come on, Dan. Be on my team.
Beyond my team.
All right, well, have a
Thank you.
good week.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Amy.
Thanks, Amy.
I'll make a motion, we approve the minutes of January 19th.
Second.
A motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
2.
That's 2 tax roll corrections
Yeah.
too.
I'll make the motion, we accept the tax roll corrections.
Second.
I have a motion and a second, accept tax roll corrections, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
I've got the request for a contribution
Peter.
to Southwest Kansas Area Agency on Aging again, for $880. We do this every year. I'm assuming it's good to go again.
You need a motion?
No,
No,
just tell me yes.
consensus.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm
It's
checking
on.
out your file.
Thank you.
Anything new and exciting, Mike?
We got no,
We're on camera.
We'll go into recess.
no, we,
Give us the good news, Carl.
How you doing? It's pretty good news. I think it's pretty good news. Here's your,
Over there now.
yeah. Here's all the information. Here's that, on the top is that real pretty crop districts that we wanted to go from, 9 to, we wanted to add 3 more, but that's not gonna happen. But this shows you what counties are compared for the crop districts. Okay?
10-4.
On your second page, these here are stapled together. This here is for the taxpayers, just right after that page. This is all of our soil types that we have in the county. And to kind of give you an idea, when the state went, because the dry crop is 8-year period, for 2021, landlord net income is not in this study for 2022. And so, but by using that 1 year and 7 years that we agreed to on these new soil types, and then the next year then in 2023, they used 2 years of the new income on the new soil and 6 of the old year. So it's gonna gradually work its way into getting the values where the Cheney Water District is. So to kind of give you on this here page, on this page, we'll kind of give you an idea of where you're at. The 59, I think I got it highlighted, 5935 in pencil then was that dry crop was $52 an acre, native grass was $23 an acre, tame grass $23 an acre, and irrigation was $235 an acre. The 5905A and the new soils on these 2 pages I have in purple. Over to the right and to the right and to the left,
Yeah, right
are
here.
in purple. So color I think it is anyway. And so you can either look on that page or this other page, but that soil now has went from $52 an acre to $64 an acre for dry crop. Okay? The tame and native grass both went from $23 to $25 an acre, and the irrigation went from $235 to $262. Now we looked at a couple parcels, and it doesn't necessarily mean that those property owners will go up that much because they might have a soil that went down. So it's hard to tell individually unless you look at it individually.
Yeah, you
what
can't just make a
parcel.
blanket statement across any piece of
No.
dirt, because you could have 75% in this 5905A, but you could have 25% in any of the other ones, but if it went down, you'll average out.
That's right,
Okay.
that's right. We've even had some of these soils that had the new soils that the value actually went down because they had a lot of another soil on there. So to kind of walk you down through the next one, soil top 6328 was at $10 and so forth, you guys can see that. 5870A, now that went to $19 an acre. What they're really doing is they really just got off of that Carwall at waste ground. That soil right there, as an example, would have went to $92 if we'd have went the 8 years. So they would have went from 10 to 92. Yeah, and if you had a lot of that, that would have been not good.
Yeah.
So I think that worked out good. We don't have much of that soil. Soil top 6330, that's the soil we have a lot of.
Hold on, Carl.
Oh, okay.
Like back on that the 6328 that went to 5870, like the dry land is 19 and the irrigated's 25.
Mhm.
I mean, why isn't that irrigated higher than that?
Probably what that is in that 5-year period, that soil type does not irrigate well.
Okay.
It's either gonna not absorb and run off, like our other soils absorb that water, and some soils aren't a good irrigator.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
But we don't have very,
No,
what is that, 5870A?
0.7,
Yeah, so that's,
yeah.
the first one we talked about, this deal on the very right-hand side is the percent of total soil.
Yeah.
So the first one we talked about was 9.5, I mean, that's top 4.
And the next one we're gonna talk about is
Yeah.
on the very bottom of the first page, 5961A. It was that 6330, it was actually, 6330 actually was the Carwile soil with no variation, that was the soil. And you guys probably remember, we changed this from waste ground back in 2014. We deviated from the state's value at $10 an acre. So that's why the other counties, they're gonna see that soil type go from $10 to 91. We're going from $76 to 91, because we changed this back in 2014.
So those other counties are happening to finally
Mhm.
raise it?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the state is actually, well, what they told me, they're actually are reviewing these right now in every county, of the 15 counties,
Okay.
to make sure that they did it. Yeah. And then the bottom one, the 6333 was $10 an acre, and it's at it's kind of like the one above it, two above it. So, you know, when you look at that individually then, and then when you sit down and look at the parcels, I think we're gonna be okay. I think people's gonna understand this, and I think they're gonna appreciate the 1 in 7 years, the way we're gonna implement this. I really do. So when you
We're
asked
gonna
me was it good, this is good news in my opinion.
I thought it was gonna be a lot. I thought we were gonna have pitchforks and torches out there.
And
we
we're
would
gonna
have.
we're gonna continue to, correct me if I'm wrong, but sub out good years.
That's right. That's right, because in that period.
So next year, you know, we'll take another hike as part of our proration upwards, but we're gonna sub out another good year and replace it with a poorer year.
That's right.
So
And
we might see something similar to this again next year.
I think you're gonna be, consistent. I think we have an advantage that a lot of counties don't have. You're gonna see some consistency in the next 7 years. Because this is gonna take place, and we have so many acres of it, that the dry crop, I think, will continue to go down for the next couple of years. I do, as those years are going out and the new years are coming in. But you're gonna have other ground that's gonna be going up to get back where it should be. So I think the amount of acres that we have, I think we're gonna be okay. You know, I don't think the taxpayer is gonna see a roller coaster, I really don't. I think they're gonna see good consistency here. You know, that's my hope anyway. Yeah. I'm really happy with this, you guys.
Yeah.
No, I mean, for everybody in the county, I am.
And another deal is like this 5944,
Yes.
that's a
okay.
lot of irrigated, right?
That's a lot.
5944 is a large majority of our
Yes.
irrigated acres.
Yes.
And it didn't change, you know, 620, well, it actually went down 1, but from 628 to 627 on irrigated, correct?
Mhm.
So, and then your dry land went down a little bit. And that's 16% of our soil, so that will make up for quite a bit.
Yeah, so to give you an example, if you have a quarter ground that's irrigated,
Mhm.
and you have this soil, this 5944 going through that,
Mhm.
your parcel, you could still have this other soils
Yeah,
that
you
went
can go
up,
down.
and it could still go down.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where they changed these, did away with these numbers here, soil types. So is that soil conservation that comes in and does that? Or is that the federal, or is that the state people?
No, it's the federal.
It's the federal
It's the-
people.
It's the soil
NRCS.
scientists. Yeah,
Soil
yeah,
scientists
yeah.
just sit there and look at it and say, we made a, I thought they were gonna combine them, but it looks like they're just changed them,
They changed them, that's right.
changed the names of them.
Yeah.
In your opinion, what is the reasoning for that?
When they did the soil surveys, from my understanding, from back in 2014, is the Carwile should have never been brought up here from Oklahoma. The Carwile in Oklahoma is the red clay.
Yeah,
And then they gave that the same name in Kansas as our sandy soil.
yeah,
And so that was probably an error back then.
okay,
And they finally agreed to fix it.
okay.
Which was, which is nice, and that's why we couldn't do it, because it's a federal, it was above us, it's above the county, yeah.
There wasn't a car wild down in Oklahoma, mainly underwater.
A lot of it was, yeah. I'm glad, yeah. So I'm happy with that part there, and then the last page, what I do is I put this together, I always put this together, this right here. This is for the owners that want information and they want to see why their values increase or decrease or what have you. So in the column over to the right, you see I have 2022 value year. So I used houses that sold in 2018, 19, 20, and
You see
21.
that?
So that's the market study to arrive at everybody's value for 2022.
But that's mainly
That
just
ARPA
from
funding
housing
administrator
and buildings and
wants
stuff
you to
like
look
that.
at
It's housing.
It'd be
This
a
is
like
housing.
between
Because we
housing and
don't
soil
use this on the-
conservation
No.
district.
Because those
We're getting
values
money
come
for
from the
those
state.
That's right.
I'm sorry, keep interrupting.
That's why it's a
They
different
just
sheet,
told me to
and
have
that's
you
why
look
it's
it
just
over.
for the,
I just
it's
saw
for the
everything was
dwellings.
Yeah,
Pretty
it's just a
much.
template.
Because we had 218 sales, which that means we had 218 houses sell
They think we ought to get
in that
money
4-year
with the
period.
soil conservation.
And then what I do is I
Any
break
other
it
entity
down
that they decide
to-
to give ARPA.
Because people want to know, people like information, they want to know where did these sales come from? Who are you comparing me to and so forth. So like in the rural, we had, of the 218 houses that sold, 32 of them was in the rural. And of those 32 sales, it wants to increase the values 11%. Will every house in the rural go up 11%? No, it's going to go into location too. But this gives them an idea what's taking place. If you look to the left, that was last year's, a lot of no changes and very little went up. But this year, guys, with the sell prices, the interest rates, the economy and so forth, you've seen everything is going up for the residential. And so, but it does break it down then. If we break it down to the middle section, what I do is I break these cells down then for pre-war and post-war, because construction changed after World War II, the pre and post-war. It breaks you down, so if you have an older house, at that point then, when I get to that part of the market study, it at that point then won't be compared with a newer house built 1945 and newer. At that point, there's no more comparisons. The very first study that I do to get what you get an MRA information with market regression analysis, what that does is that it tells you what every house, what it's bringing to the market, whether it has a basement, what did the basement bring to the market, what did central heat and air bring to the market compared to your house that doesn't have central heat and air. It gives you a comparison, and age doesn't matter there. We want to know what is everything, what is a square foot bringing into the market compared to, because all the houses are different. So that's the first. The second study is we break it down by the age, okay? And so this here just kind of gives them an idea where we're at square foot wise and where just the average prices are on sales. This isn't everybody's house in the county, this is the 218 sales. That shows why your value is gonna change. To document that. And then down on the bottom is where the commercials have not went up for a number of years. Now we're talking about just commercial properties, no dwellings. But we are seeing a trend of an upward trend even on commercial. And the reason we know this, and you guys remember when you get that compliance report from the state of Kansas sometimes on what I'm doing and the ratios compared to the percentages and so forth, that's how they grade us. That's the report card to see if we follow what we're reading. Yeah. On there. So when people come in, this is one of the first things we give them if they want it. And a lot of times, sometimes they're not happy, but at least they can see what's going on in the county anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah, I mean, an appraisal is always subject to discretion and so forth, but that's why we have an appeal process though in Kansas. And it's a good appeal process. Yeah. And they can either appeal, I'm gonna mail but we're shooting to mail the valuation notices out February 18th. I'm sorry. Do you have a calendar? I think it's the 18th. It's on a Friday. It's before the holiday.
Yeah, 18th is
18th,
Friday.
okay. So when we mail those out, then every property owner in the county will have 30 days to appeal that value. And then that window will close, and then we have a couple months then, in this case, to then certify the new values to.
How does an appeal work just from 30,000 feet? I mean, what's the process if somebody wanted to appeal?
Okay, you could call in, or you could come in, or email. And then what we're due then is there's no paperwork in the spring, because there's not a tax bill. You would just say, hey, Carl, I disagree with the value, I looked at your sheet, I looked at the sale, I still don't agree with what you did. Because our basement's cracked up and fallen down, our foundation, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
And then we set up a date to either I'll go out and meet with them. Some people don't live here, so it'll be a phone hearing, then I'll go back out. But on every hearing, I'll go back out and re-inspect it. And then at that point, I have to send them a new valuation, whether I change it or not. I have to let them know by mail what that appeal did to their value. If, let's just say I don't change it. Let's just say I don't change it, then they want to go to the next step. Then they go past the commissioners, they go right to the Board of Tax Appeals. And it'll either be a small claims for residential, agricultural would be the main board, and so would commercial.
Okay.
And then they have, then
Then
the
the
board
board
will
tax
listen
appeals
to
would
it,
hear it.
and then they send us what their recommendation is. And then everybody, you still have 15 days to appeal that.
Yeah.
Now, in December, when there's a tax statement, you have to do a payment under protest.
yeah.
Because I can't change it, I don't have authority, I can't change a tax statement
Yeah.
just to change it.
10-4.
Yeah.
Okay.
February 18th, I'm gonna send you a little gift to you.
I'm good. When you talk to the state about getting more than the 9, I don't know, what do you call these districts?
Yep, you're right, crop district. yeah.
Did you get the feeling anything would even be considered, or was it just, thanks for letting us
No,
know?
and Clay will kind of remember this. I mean, it was, not a bad idea maybe,
But
unfortunately, but we're not gonna do it.
Yeah,
Yeah, it'd be nice if we could make a district with, the western half of our district and leave the eastern half. You take off driving southeast of here and the ground gets a lot better
yeah.
than where we are.
And see, and I think I've talked to you guys, if you look in the red, if you compare Dickinson and Marion with Rush and Ellis, what's the comparison there?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, they have just as much right to be upset as,
Or if you even go all the way north to the light green, Washington and Clay compared to Phillips and Rush,
yeah,
Yeah.
it's not even close.
yeah.
So, yeah, it would be nice if we could have maybe the smaller districts
Yeah,
out
they need to
here.
kind of split it across here and make a little, you could add 3 more and make 12.
Yeah.
Real easy.
And just write down this Jewel, Mitchell, Lincoln, Ellsworth, Rice, Reno, Kingman, Harper County line and put all these western 2 counties on.
You know, it's not like you're asking them to reinvent the wheel. I mean,
No,
put in 3 more districts and make it,
and just see. I
yeah.
mean, you could experiment, because you have the data on this, just whatever you have in this file, copy it, paste it to a new folder, and then change that folder and don't even mess with the original. I mean, today's world is pretty simple to relook at stuff.
Yeah,
Years ago, that would have been a pain, but.
Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you, Carl.
Thanks, Carl. Oh, do we need an executive session? Is that on the agenda?
I thought I saw that.
That's what
Carl
you asked.
Value
I
slash
think you had some
executive
questions
session.
for me.
Yeah.
15?
Yeah, that'd be fine.
I make a motion that we go into executives. Are you good for 15?
Yeah, I just didn't want to get into.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I think we're okay.
Okay.
I make a motion that we go into executive session for 15 minutes to discuss non-elected personnel, including Carl, county attorney, Nita, and the commissioners.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
He's vehemently.
Good morning.
Morning.
Ryan.
I
How we
have
doing?
Wonderful. 2021 eradication report and the 2022 management plan for the state.
Is it Tuesday?
No, it's probably here in.
Oh,
I go today.
somebody lost it too.
How'd you do that?
His front tooth.
Well, 20-some years ago, I got it knocked out when we were working cattle, and the cap came out, or the crown came off, like the weekend before last.
Oh, really?
And so then I went down Thursday, and they re-cemented it, and it lasted a day.
I just wanted to make sure we didn't have any fist fights over bindweed or
Yeah, there you
anything
go.
like that.
No, and so they got me in today, so today at 1, I get to be in touch, so I get to miss the township meetings.
Yeah.
Maybe
Oh,
Philip will
speaking
save
of
you
that.
some time.
I already called Jay and told him he needed to.
Oh,
Did you announce that we have the county agreement or the township agreements?
why do I have to? Make Philip do it.
Well,
Or
I was
talk to
gonna have
him.
Cindy do it, but she said, I need to do it. Or one of the
What
commissioners
do you
can
want to do?
it. Just the township agreements, those contracts.
Okay.
that I have.
And you sent them out or did?
They're just sitting there, they're just over here on the table.
To
Okay.
have everybody sign them.
Yeah, and I only need one signature on them, and then whoever doesn't sign today, then we'll sit
You
down
can
and
go look them
I'll
up.
do those and then you can do the prayer before the meeting.
Please.
Yes.
If Carl helps.
Because this
him
is
there,
the
he
position of delegating authority.
Now, just your time about.
This delegated authority also called passing the buck.
That's exactly right.
Yes, we will get that announced, one way or the other.
And the eradication report is just, it's a financial report and then a weed survey, acres report that the state, I send into the state.
Okay. Do we need to approve it or anything or
Yes.
just?
Usually we do a.
Approve it and then
Yeah.
everyone needs to sign it on the second page.
Okay.
So how many this do we have last year?
Three.
Three?
We did 3 months this year.
3 plants? Oh,
I was gonna say.
So how's everything going with the noxious weed and the
Good.
water well and sewer and?
Well, we ended up with, last year, they're not quite finished yet, I still have 2 that would be under the,
waiting.
yeah, it's just getting the contractors to get it done. Well, we had 22 permitted last year, and I've got paperwork out for at least 5 more starting this year.
On septic tanks?
Yeah.
Truck and you got the new motor put in your
Yes.
Gator, is that right? Is it a
Yeah,
Gator?
Kubota, yep.
Kubota?
Yep.
So we're all
Sounds
there?
good, runs good. I haven't done anything with it yet, I haven't put the sprayer back on it yet, but
I'm sure you got all your chemical bought before the prices went up.
well, I did get the chemical bought, well, ordered for Road and Bridge for the chemical mow, and I paid $15 a gallon for glyphosate last year and $35 this year.
And that's about half what it is now.
Well, and this was because it's a government thing and also with the weed, yeah, otherwise it could be, it's 50.
Yeah, I think right now it's 60 right now.
And so I was extremely happy we get 35 a gallon. But I haven't bought I have enough, like glyphosate, I'm just keeping enough around for our use. I mean, don't have the budget to buy it to sell it,
Oh, yeah.
so.
Yeah.
The Tordon only went up $5 a gallon, so that was good, from 65 to 70, so that was that's what I use mainly of, and that's what I was worried about, so it didn't go up horribly.
I know on the county roads, I think you used to just do one side one year and then you do the other side the next year. Are you doing both sides?
No, I do both sides.
There's-
It just, you have to do it at two, you just have to use the breeze, you have, one day
Okay.
you'll use, like the north side, you need the south breeze, and the south side, you need the north breeze. So they're not all done at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it, definitely you can tell a difference, I mean, especially with the glyphosate stuff, you can tell the difference on control from morning to afternoon,
Oh, yeah.
day to day, depending on, you know, barometer, on temperature, on everything, so.
Oh, yeah.
but-
Is that dependent on whether the plant absorbs?
Yes.
During the heat of the day, your plant will curl up
Yeah,
and won't hardly take chemical.
And so, and it's just, yeah, it's pretty amazing that you can spray the exact same stuff, like, and depending, it might be an hour later, and it won't.
So
It might
that-
do it more, or it might
Yeah.
take it up less.
so the opportune time would be either early morning or late afternoon, or?
It also depends on how wet.
Yeah.
How wet, if you heavy dew it might not take it up as well. It's just, and then like with my chemical mow, I start probably 2 weeks early than what I should, but to get done within, before the cheat and everything, heads and everything, you just gotta start a little early. And so it's kind of damn if you do and damn if you don't.
Yeah.
It's a narrow time frame on that early morning spraying because as soon, you gotta wait for the dew to burn off.
Yeah.
Otherwise it'll hit and roll off on the ground. And then you gotta quit before it gets too windy and quit before it gets too hot.
Yeah.
I make a motion, we accept the annual noxious weed eradication progress report.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
And then on this one, because that's the 21, what we did, the 22 is the actual management plan, what we plan on doing for this year. It's different than what we've done in the past. The state has decided to just send out a template, they want it all.
Okay, and we need to vote on that and pass?
Yes, yeah. There should be on the last page, the place to sign it also. And it's,
I make a motion that we approve the 2022 management plan.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Dig a lot of musk thistle.
that's, yeah, no, they want your mechanical control.
Yeah.
And that's, my main mechanical control's gut and dig.
So do you have to measure the hole and record the inches, how deep you went?
Yeah.
Do you?
No.
No.
But that's what, and I guess I've never even talked to you guys about it, but I don't charge hours when I go out and dig. I mean, if it's scattered throughout a pasture, I'll just walk and you see them and dig them up. I usually don't charge anyone for that. I guess I should have asked that a long time ago, but it's me and a shovel, so
Yeah.
you guys started paying me, so.
There's,
I suppose you want a little mini backhoe that you can run out there and.
No, it'd be the last thing in the world I'd want.
so is the musk thistle pretty much under control? I mean, just have a little bit of it here and there once in a while?
It's, well, yeah, more concentrated along the creek, but there is, but I did find spots this fall, actually, 2 separate small pastures that were pretty well, but then in November is when you can do, it was so dry, I didn't want to waste the money on chemical. So we're gonna do that this spring. Like I say, one's a 40-acre patch, and then one's a larger pasture, but it's just concentrated on one edge. But I talked to the landowners, and we'll work on that this spring.
So do you still have test kits for rural water wells?
Yes.
Your place, you have them
Yeah.
available?
Yes, and I gave a box out to the health department, they've got some
Okay.
also. They said they've had a couple of people come in with water. And so-
And the lab is over at Hutch.
Yes, and that's one thing we talked about it, because people were asking if the county pays for it, and I'm like, no. I said, we'll give the test kits, but the lab, you have to pay the lab direct, so.
Okay. If you have a test kit from like last year, it's been sitting on the shelf,
It's fine.
unopened, is that still fine?
Yep, it's fine. Yeah, their shelf life's several years. so.
I mean, it's basically as long as the container stays clean.
Yep. And, like I say, everything did well, so we got a couple of those coming in still. I gotta check with them again, but yeah, just the contractors were just, I mean, it's so backed up this year with septics. I don't know how many they all put in, but they all put in several, so.
Does everybody around here mainly use the concrete septic tanks?
Yeah, well, actually, I do have different most. There are some that still use the poly,
Yeah.
and they have to be still, it's all KDHE approved, they have to be, but yeah, and the guys have their favorites.
Yeah.
And that's the installer, I mean, that's up to him, as long as the KDHE approved tank, I have no issues with what they use, but.
We just come back from Kirbyville, Texas, and they're at the hardware store, they had septic tanks, and what their deals were was like 3 500-gallon tanks, fiberglass tanks, you set one, set one, set one. And all the lids stayed exposed, because it never freezes down there.
Right.
I was wondering if you'd ever seen anything like that here.
No, because I mean, the minimum size you can put in is 1,000
Yeah.
in the state of Kansas. And it's overkill on some guys that have put in a little cabin that they might use 2 weeks out of the year, but.
I think what
it's
they
just the
were,
way it is.
they were talking the 500s was the 500-gallon compartment, 500, so they
Okay.
would say it's 1,500-gallon.
Okay. It wasn't all in one, but it was all,
It was all, yeah, it was,
It's all tied together.
yeah,
okay. Which, I mean, most of them are two compartment septic tanks now. I mean, you have your settlement, you have a wall, and so your
Where it
settlement.
runs over the top.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so your initial settlement is here, and that runs over, and then you have your secondary settlement before it goes out.
To your lateral.
Right. But yeah, but that's, like I say, as long as they're KDG approved,
yeah.
we don't have any issues, so. And I did get the state has put out a model sanitary code that they've come up with. And so this year I will be working on a new sanitary code. Because ours was signed in '92,
Really.
so the
About
state
due.
recommended, the state recommends that we get that updated.
I
And
mean,
so
you
I'm
can't
going
use
through
a
it.
ditch anymore? You think?
You know, it's not a bad thing, because that's where I get my worms and stuff, but yeah, no, everything needs, when we have, and, yeah, I don't want to think about some of the older homes, what is out there, but, yeah, and I haven't, and I've told you before, I usually don't file it unless they file a written complaint. I'll follow up on it,
Mhm.
I'm just not big on hearsay and somebody mad at a neighbor and that stuff, so.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, a written complaint, we'll sure follow it up and get it all fixed, so.
So I have one more rural septic system question for you. So like out at our place, I wouldn't mind putting a water softener in, but that water softener goes through a cycle where it runs the brine through your filter, and then it pumps all that salt water into your septic tank, which goes to your lateral,
Right.
and then it seals off your lateral field.
Can do that, yes.
So what's the answer for that in a rural area? I mean, can you make that to where a water softener will discharge out into another area?
You can put a gray water system in. But the only bad thing about that is.
With a separate drain.
Yeah, into a holding tank or but then the requirements are kind of fuzzy, but most of it is you have to, you use it for irrigation. and you would just be defeating everything if you're trying, yeah.
Yeah.
Good
Spray
irrigate.
salt water on
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
nice grass.
To be honest, I haven't run into that a lot in this area,
Really?
because that's, I mean, most do have soft water, or, you know, hard water problems, so they do have soft water, and I haven't seen that a
Really?
lot.
That'd worry me to death.
How
I
hard,
mean, we use salt for sealing palms and.
how hard?
But I don't think your concentration would be.
Yeah.
Dilution is the solution to pollution.
That's
You know,
exactly-
it's
you're exactly
diluted-
right.
So how-
diluted,
how-
clear down.
Todd, how hard is your water?
It's pretty hard. I mean, I don't know the exact number.
You have to chew it before you can swallow
Yeah, he
it?
doesn't,
Yeah.
he doesn't have soap, he just rubs the water on
Yeah.
all the grit
If
inside
the,
there.
if the sink drips, it doesn't build stalactites,
Okay.
but it messes
Well,
mine.
what I was gonna say, I have the same situation, I mean, with a water softener, but I probably use 40 pounds of salt in a year.
Oh, really? That's all?
It doesn't, I mean, our water is relatively soft. I mean, there is hardness to it, but as far as when I had it tested, it was at the bottom of the scale. But, no, I put a Post-it note there when I add 40 pounds, and it's about a year.
Mine is-
Mom doesn't add much to hers.
Really, I was
Mine
thinking,
is, I use probably at least 120 to 160 pounds a year.
really. Now, see, I was concerned that you might be using that a month. I mean,
No,
I don't
no,
know,
no,
anything
no.
like that.
And then the
So I
other
can see
thing
where it
is,
wouldn't be a
there's
problem.
no vegetation killing
No.
in the laterals. And usually if there's a high salt concentration, the grass is gonna die and.
Well, see, our laterals are underground, they just don't run on the surface like yours.
No, ours is.
I wanna come check
Oh,
out.
you noticed that?
Yeah.
Look at that
I might have
pond
you
down
sign
south.
Is that a written complaint?
But no, I've not run into that issue with, because like I say, it's diluted enough, you're running into at least 1,000 gallons of water.
Okay,
It dilutes down enough.
okay.
And yeah, your recharge, you know, it isn't.
Maybe a lot of your salt settles out in your tank and then you pump it out. Maybe it doesn't make it clear out to you.
Probably
The
not.
lines.
Okay. So otherwise, everything's good.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you, man.
Leave it all up to you.
I'll be able to make the meeting because my guy that I was supposed to be with at 1 is sick, so.
It's cold.
Yeah, that's probably what it is.
Yeah,
And
it comes
snow.
into our county.
6/26/12?
Well, it's on the county line.
Oh.
It's
That's
down in
insane.
Union Township.
26 is.
Hoorah.
Hooray. Hooray.
But that thing sold, didn't it?
Yeah,
It's still named Hooray though.
Yeah. But they're running a water line across from the south side to the north side. The guy wanted to backhoe it. Not a good idea.
Is that irrigation? It's gonna
No,
be a
it's
big
for,
line?
no, I don't think so. I think it's for water. But it doesn't really say. Because they got a board.
Remind me of that, to ask you about that.
After the meeting.
On that Hooray deal down there.
But it's one of the roads that Union Township drags.
Mm-hmm. Who's the contractor?
Not sure who they put it on, but
They're gonna bore it
yes. They wanted to backhoe it.
8-inch, well, yeah, it says 8-inch PVC.
Okay. Well,
I
they
bet
should
you
be able-
that's the irrigation.
They,
line.
okay.
Yeah.
And can you push enough water through an 8-inch?
Yeah, that's standard for Stafford County, isn't it?
Yeah, we pump a lot of water through.
Ours are 10, but we got big permits from the old days.
But yeah, I think 8's about right.
Cause I thought it was grass on the north side where they were pumping it to.
It is, it's big duck.
So they're going to.
I think they're moving some water around.
To first, other side.
You good with this, Clay? Sure. I make a motion that we approve the road crossing permit 2022-126.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
What are we having for lunch, Phil?
Chicken fried, standard.
It's a good deal.
Green beans, mashed potatoes, gravy, pie.
It's gonna be a good deal.
Standard farmer's meal.
There you go. Hard working, and we've been chopping ice all morning. Mornings like this morning are, I'm glad I don't have cattle.
Yeah, I got some for sale.
You said that was such a great deal or what?
Huh?
You said that was such a great deal or?
On mornings like today.
Yep.
It turned out to be a little less than it is probably. Probably about 50 something.
I don't know, it'll either be that or guys are too cold to be in shopping. Come in, I don't know.
Well, again, well, I was talking about what RSVP, we needed to turn in account for meals, so.
Those are your precinct members.
You already get one of those.
Oh,
last
you
week.
did?
That's gonna be sweet.
I couldn't remember, it was in my folder, I didn't know if you had one. If she gave it to us last week or the week before.
Did you, I don't think you guys made the appointment for Susan Lewis on the.
She wants to wait and go to a meeting.
Okay.
Yep. She wasn't able to make it to the last meeting.
Do you know what happens if a township doesn't have enough people to serve on the board?
And the next meeting will be the 21st.
Like,
Okay.
none at
I'll
all,
text her right now.
or
I think it's them.
a lot of them function with 2.
Okay. Well,
There's nothing
I was
that-
I was asked this question, so you might just be aware, you might need to be able to answer that question today.
What is the answer?
I think it reverts to you all.
If they don't have 3,
As in, nobody wants to do it anymore, or?
Well, there's just getting not to be very many people in the township. I mean, and there are several of them are that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, Clear Creek's looking for one still, right? Are we done?
They think they found one.
yeah, I'm done.
I'm done.
Um,
We'll adjourn.